Hello there, this is episode 29 for Basil, our King of Thieves, in Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition. Last time, Basil returned home to Candlekeep and, through the old reunions, and odd ambush or two, spotted dark shadows invading his beloved home. Today, Basil will go into the library and try to figure out what the Iron Throne has in mind for the Sword Coast. So walking right in the library, we see that there's a statue of Alondo right there, and makes, of course, his comments saying that, oh, there's so many books. Well, yeah, it's a library, Chief. That's what libraries have. They have the books here. This is where the books live.
Something on your mind?
The first one who comes up is Gorion. Gorion basically says that we've aged quite a bit since our last encounter with him. And it's like, yes, of course. That's not your fault. You prepared me as best you could. There's something wrong here. Gorion asks if we should tell the Watchers. And Basil, keeping to himself or keeping to his kind of, keeping to his roguish ways, says no, the Watchers are no more than a bundle of sticks. Gorion warns him about a gentleman named Kovaros. Kovaros was taking Alondo's prophecies from their place on the shelf and reading them. I could hear his voice, recognize the seer's words upon his quiet breath. And when I turned to steal a glance at him from the corner of his eye, it was the strangest thing. His eyes were closed. He was reciting page after page as if from memory. Yeah, and then he wandered off. So basically, this guy Kovaros seems to know the prophecy. Very interesting. It has it memorized.
These walls
Theoden
contain the
hangs out with us. This is
knowledge.
kind of an old, one of those old pleasant reunions. Theoden starts to tell him the funny story of his youth. You never did stay in those rags of yours for long, did you? Well, yeah, no, I found clothes. So Theoden basically is commenting that when we were a little kid, we had this humorous story about how we were buck naked and just running around. And Gorion, of course, was trying to catch up with us. And then Kelvin Blackstaff came by to visit, big old celebrity. And we were, of course, still naked and hanging out in the stables with the horses, which is a little awkward for a 38-year-old man. But you know what? I don't judge, okay? So Theoden continues to talk about this story. And then Kelvin basically grabs us by the scruff of a neck with some sort of spectral hand. Well, if I'm naked, then how is he going to grab me? Well, I guess the scruff of the neck is the back of the neck. Is that what that is? Or is it like the back of the shirt? If it's the back of the shirt, that'd be impossible. But if it's the back of the neck, that makes sense. Anyway, everybody was laughing at us. I was embarrassed. Everybody's had this happen where some old person just remembers the one embarrassing story and then they never talk about anything else. It's just, remember that embarrassing time? Remember that embarrassing time? Remember that embarrassing time? Hey, I remember that embarrassing time. Hey, you remember that embarrassing time? Hey, I remember that embarrassing time. I think I'm going to take this time. So upstairs is where we're going to end up going. But I think I'm going to take a little bit of time for Basil to just run through and check out these bookcases. You'll see on occasion on the first floor, there's two of them. In the dawn of the avatars, the Lord of Murder will spawn a score of mortal progeny. These offspring will be aligned good and evil, but chaos will flow through them all. And basically this is the Alondo's prophecy. And there's another passage here. The spawn of the Lord of Murder are fated to come into their inheritance through bloodshed and misery. It is the hope of their father that only one shall remain alive to inherit his legacy. And this is about Baal, the god of murder. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the rest of these bookcases to see if we can find any useful items. Okay, we took time to scan through, and now we're going to head upstairs.
Our library is
Basil's
a man's
going to
harem
be
of knowledge.
stopped by Bendalis. Bendalis and Basil have an exchange, and Bendalis basically seems a little bit of a stressed guy. And Basil, of course, is going to ask him what's causing all this stress. Mendelis says that there's some unmerchant-like merchants, for one. I wonder who they are. And also, our own monks are acting odd as well. One fellow in particular. He talks about, he first off talks about Coverus, but then he talks about another guy named Shistal. Shistal seems out of sorts. He's not as thick-skinned as I. You remember how nervous he used to be. He's quite the opposite now. He seems like a totally different person. I worry about him. I should go. It has been nice speaking with you. So basically, the guy named Shistal is come up, and then this guy Coverus.
Stranger.
In the year of the turrets, a great host will come from the east like a plague of locusts. So saith the wise Alando.
So, yeah. Okay, that's a voice. So this is Coverus. He used to work with our dad. He ran messages between him and the Harpers up in Waterdeep. And Minx immediately has his nose twitch about this guy. And Basil is intrigued by him. What evil befell him? And Coverus talked about his petty magic and his little use against the ogres and the archers. We fled with our tail between our legs. Well, yeah, we would have died otherwise. Yeah. This guy seems really sketch. We're not going to take anything from him. That's really sketch. So anyway, he urges us, by the way, to try to kill the leaders of the Iron Throne. So we're going to do the same thing with Basil. We're going to go ahead and skim through these. I'll point out anything that's really, really important, but most of it is just occasional scrolls and books.
The Lord of Murder shall
The Chanter does come to us before I'm able to go do the scanning. And he notices that we look distressed. And Basil can just brush it off, or he can actually say that there is trouble here. And Basil urges the Chanter to talk about the history of this place and to let me know if there's any place where he can hide or he can investigate, places that he wasn't allowed to go as a child. And the Chanter probably has issues with this. These are secret places for a reason. They are indeed secret. And Basil reminds him and says, listen, I'm not a kid anymore. The entire keep is in danger, and I want to make sure that we know what to do. Gorion would have helped me in this. And the Chanter talks about founding this as a fortress of knowledge, and there were some secrets underneath. There's an area entombed below. This is where, of course, Alando resides now, along with other important members of the keep. And Gorion, and he urges us not to venture into those trapped and warded halls. I wonder where we're going to end up with this adventure. Probably in the trapped and warded halls. But now we need to figure out how on earth we're going to get down there. And maybe if there's anything down there that's really, really neat. For now, we're going to head back upstairs. We're going to continue to head upstairs. We've checked all these bookcases. And when we go upstairs, then we will reach a very open level of the library. We'll go ahead and check out these bookcases first. So we see that there's this entrance to the other room, and we recognize the name Tooth as one of the Iron Throne leaders, so this must be it. I need to be careful. I don't I need to be ready for a fight in case one comes out. I'm thinking about going into stealth at this time to try to slide in quietly so I can get a good edge in. Of course, that means I have to find a good place for stealth. And in an area like this, you would think that the library actually has good areas. There we go. So, the big one I want to stay away from is Railtar. We have Brunos and Tooth visible right now.
Squeaky wheel gets the kick.
Basil, of course, is out of the shadows. Move the rest of the party up a little bit. And might as well start this interaction. Railtar says, "Dear sir, you must realize that manners make the gentleman, so you would kindly prove that you are one by leaving." "Railtar, ye thrice-cursed son of a mangy cur." "Yes, Lick, I didn't expect to see you, of all people, my old friend." "Friend me arse. What friend locks up and tortures another? What friend does bad things?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "Ye pay for your perfidy and red blood, Railtar." Basil immediately is going to have to step in and say that there's madness. "Imagine the horror you put this place through with streaming blood." Yeslik has a great quote saying, "Violence only solves the simplest of problems." That's very sweet. So, no, we are not going to start a fight in the middle of the library. But I have something that might help. Something that helped against Basilius. Something that I can use. I'm going to charm Railtar. Oh, look at that. Now, when a character is charmed, note not dominated, but charmed, they'll tell all their secrets.
Most distasteful.
He says, "We're at Candlekeep negotiating with the Knights of the Shield. We're creating a misinformation campaign to blame the Zentarum for all the troubles in the campaign and in the region. We are trying to create tensions between the governments of Baldur's Gate and Om, with iron being the most important resource in the war. The Baldurian government will have to go to us in order to get any. We've disrupted all the iron trade through the region using Black Talon mercenaries and the Chill. Only known iron mine in the region is Nashkel, and basically they've crippled the area. They've crippled the iron production in the area and the iron transportation in the area." So, he just kind of told me the whole game straight from his mouth. You may wonder, that seems terrible. And you're right, that's a horrible thing to do. I'm not going to ponder on it. Basil's not going to ponder on it. We have the evidence. And now let's go ahead and go to the top and tell Orant about this evidence, and maybe he can ask for us to get the Watchers to help us escort Railtar back to Baldur's Gate. This is Shistal. Oh, he thinks we're a stranger. All the other monks gave me a warm welcome. Don't you recognize me? Shistal, of course, remembers us. He just didn't recognize our face. That would literally be recognizing us, remembering us. And he talks to us about how we went to Candlekeep, and we said, "How would you know if we've gone to Candlekeep?" And he says, "Well, I have relatives in the region. They must have seen you." And Shistal and Basil says, "How would they have recognized me?" And Shistal says, "Oh, I tire of this game. It's a doppelganger. It's a greater doppelganger. Whoa!" And he casts mirror image. Yeah, Basil's gonna get away from that. Yeah, greater doppelgangers are no joke. They hit like a truck, and they do mirror image. They're very, very tough to fight. But we do get, Minx gets a level up from it, and Basil's going to take time to investigate this floor right after we level Minx up.
Okay.
All right, so we've taken a look at all of the containers here. got some nice
Our
treasure.
library is a
And
man's harem of
Paito
knowledge.
comes to us. He asks if we're well. Far better than the reading we got downstairs from Shistal. So yeah, we'll be friendly with Paito. Paito apparently was an old friend of Gorion's, maybe a student of his, and Paito takes us over to Gorion's room. Basil's going to go over to his room.
Let's talk more
and chat with Paito.
Our library
Says
is
once
a
you've
man's
retrieved the
harem of
scroll,
knowledge.
it'll be good for you to see Tethtoil. He's waiting for us upstairs. Scroll. Interesting. Okay. Let's take a look at this. We're going to go ahead and read this scroll. If you're reading this, it means I have met an untimely death. I would tell you not to grieve for me, but I feel much better thinking that you would. There are things I must tell you in this letter that I might have told you before. However, if my death came too soon, then I would have never been given the chance. First off, I am not your biological father, for that distinction lies with an entity known as Baal. The Baal that I speak of is the one you know as a divinity. In the crisis known as the Time of Troubles, when the gods walked Faerun, Baal was also forced into a mortal shell. He was seemingly forewarned of the death that awaited him during this time. For reasons unknown to me, he sought out women of every race and forced himself upon them. Your mother was one of those women, and as you know, she died in childbirth. I had been her friend and, on occasion, lover. I felt obligated to raise you as my own. I have always thought of you as my child, and I hope you still think of me as your father. You are a special child. The blood of the gods runs through your veins. If you make extensive use of the library, you will find that our father, Alondo, has many prophecies concerning the coming of the spawn of Baal. There are many who will want to use you for their own purposes. One, a man who calls himself Saravok, is the great danger. He has studied here at Candlekeep and thus knows a great deal about your history and who you are. Gorion. So obviously, there's a lot of concerns about this big ass revelation that I am a child of a god, the little child of a deity, a demigod, if you will. That's kind of a big deal. Dynahair, of course, says that she had her suspicions, and considering that she is she's a mage, she's a witch, kind of understand that. And so she alludes more to Alondo's prophecies, talking about armies marching forth, rivers frothed with tainted blood, corpses of those who born not innocent feed the inferno of boiling hate. Yeah, is there more? She says, I know no more than that. So, good times. Absolutely terrifying. I apologize for the strange reading of it. I had to read it very, very, very quickly, live. But we're going to go ahead and take some time now to think about what this means, right? So, being a child of Baal, I'm the child of murder, right? Unlike other kind of children of gods from other stories, right? Or similar to it, I guess, is that means I'm going to have part of his portfolio invested in me, in Basil, and anyone else who is regarded as a child of Baal. The sad thing is that it means that murder and death are going to follow me. Now, we read in one of the Alondo's prophecies that sometimes they can be born good, and sometimes they do good things, and other times they don't. So, you can be a good child of Baal, or you could be an evil child of Baal, or somewhere in between. But the problem is that murder and death follow you wherever you end up going. So you basically are inadvertently causing chaos, right? Murder and death are part of your makeup, right? And part of the makeup of all of the children of Baal, which is very, very sad because there's probably quite a few of them who don't embrace that and fight against it and are looked down upon just because they have this connection to a demigod. Whereas there are probably a lot of them who invest in that and go deep into it and just totally embrace the evil within. Maybe Tethtoil might have more answers. We're going to go upstairs, and Ulrant probably needs to know about the Iron Throne leaders downstairs. The Gate Warden is here. Stop and surrender yourself. You've been accused of murdering the leaders of the Iron Throne. If you give up now, you'll be assured a fair trial. This is really bad. We didn't kill anyone. We, in fact, walked away from the situation. And sometime in the time when we were killing Shistal, someone must have gone in and killed them. That's really bad. We're going to still surrender ourselves, but this is not good. Not good at all. So we have been brought to the jail, or to the barracks rather, and Ulrant comes in. Ulrant says we have sullied our father's name, brought ruin to a place that has lasted for centuries. Your transgressions will be severe. I formally accuse you of the murder of the leaders of the Iron Throne. Emoen pipes up, but of course we ask, why did they accuse us? Coverus basically fingered us. He basically said that we were fleeing the scene of the murder. And he says, everything I've been told, it makes sense, right? You have been after the Iron Throne since the start. You two have had this antagonistic relationship. You have foiled their schemes. It's obvious that you are under the employ of Am. Am is the country down to the south where Nashkel is. And once they look at all the evidence, you're going to be brought before judgment. Soon after Ulrant comes out, Tethtoil slips in, and Tethtoil basically says that he gives us kind of the update as to the evidence that Ulrant found. Basil and his crew are to be judged and probably to be hanged in Baldur's Gate. We ask about Coverus, who allegedly saw us commit the murder, and Coverus is the reverse of Saravok, who is the young man that was mentioned in Gorion's letters, and he accompanied the leaders of the Iron Throne there. So, yeah, kind of fishy. So obviously, Saravok may be behind all of this, and he may be the one who actually committed the deed. So this obviously uncovers a lot, and Tethtoil offers to teleport us to a secret library. He does this for Gorion, of course. And obviously for us too. Sure. So with that, we're in a secret library. Pick up a couple of spells here. And what we will get to do, it next time, is we'll get to actually investigate the catacombs underneath Candlekeep. There's actually some really nice treasure underneath here. And there is obviously danger at every corner, evil around every corner. So not only are we going to deal with the natural monsters of this place, but we may be dealing with the new residents, i.e. the doppelgangers that have been taking over the people of Candlekeep and may cause trouble for us. So with that said, that'll be it for today. Feel free to check out my other content. I have Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition rather. I have Baldur's Gate 3 content. I have Vampire the Masquerade content. And I have TTRPG content from The Savage Soul. If you're interested in watching more, check out that content. If you like what I do, go ahead and leave the video a like or a comment, or you can subscribe to the channel. I also have a poll up asking about future content that you may or may not want to see. So go ahead and fill out that poll, or go ahead and check off what you're interested in, or leave a comment if you're interested in anything not mentioned on that poll, and I can check that out. So with that, I want to wish you all a wonderful day. Take care and good luck. We're all counting on you.